the ultimate hire, the ultimate win. But I have to be honest, considering their ages, Pop and Steve Nash, this might even be better. Look, Steve Nash has a great relationship with Kevin Durant. I don't know when or how it started, but it started when KD was in Oklahoma City. He used to talk basketball and strategy with Nash. He even talked about Golden State and the way they played their offense and how much KD liked it when KD was still in OKC. Obviously, that continued when KD went to Golden State. Nash was a consultant. So that's a great start for these two guys. He's going to have KD's respect. And I think Steve Nash is probably one of the few people on the planet that Kyrie Irving thinks can actually tell him something about playing point guard. So I think Kyrie will listen to Nash. I think he'll soak up what he tells him like a sponge. So obviously it's a great fit with the two stars. And Nash is one of the most, or has been involved with the most innovative and productive offenses we've seen. In Dallas even. He and Dirk Nowitzki, that was one of the great offenses in the league, really in modern history. And then obviously what he did in Phoenix under Mike D'Antoni. So I kind of feel, he hasn't coached, so we don't know. But this reminds me of when Steve Kerr went to Golden State. And he found a perfect offense for that group and took them to another level. I think he's going to be able to find a nice mix for KD and Kyrie, and then guys like Joe Harris and Karis LeVert and the surrounding cast. So I think this was a home run for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. It caught me by surprise, but I agree with you. I think it's a great fit. The thing that I'm starting to see, unlike football, yeah, you need X's and O's, but you need to be able to manage personalities because basketball is such a superstar-driven sport. And if the superstar and the head coach doesn't get along, Skip, normally if the superstar and the head coach don't get along in football, guess who leaves? The superstar football player. But in basketball, if the superstar and the head coach don't get along, guess who's leaving? The head coach. And so he has a head start because he has this personal relationship with Kevin Durant. Sean Marks played with Steve Nash in Phoenix. They were together. So that's a relationship there. And as you mentioned, Steve Nash has MVPs. It's easy to talk to someone when you have credentials, when you have accolades. I mean, he's like, okay, Kyrie, I do have an MVP. I don't have a championship, but I have an MVP, which signifies that I had the best season or I was the best player in a given year. So, Kyrie can like, okay, is that the way you think I should have done it? He can shoot the ball. Steve Nash, if I'm not mistaken, Steve Nash might have been a 50, 40, 90 guy, Skip, because Steve Nash was money at the free throw line. He could shoot the three. He had nice handles, could get to the rim, mid-range game. So I like the hire. When I first heard, I'm like, hell, I didn't even know he would. Well, you have to figure. I figure everybody, if you sit on the bench beside the head coach, you have aspirations of becoming a head coach. So I shouldn't be surprised. But like you said, I believe they think that lightning can strike twice. They saw the success that Steve Kerr had in Golden State. Well, maybe we can find that here on the East Coast in Brooklyn. Let's bring Steve Nash in, as you mentioned. He has this relationship. He worked up under Steve Kerr for a number of years. I like the hire. But even if you didn't, it's hard to mess this up. When you got those two guys, Kyrie and KD, Skip, it's hard to muck that up.
I don't know. So, Chris Broussard, I got one bone to pick before I answer Jenny's question. Greg Popovich coaching the Nets, you think that was the ultimate move?
Would have been
Kyrie,
great, Skip.
That they would have lasted 15 minutes. Greg Popovich. He's Bill Belichick of the NBA. He's as old school drill sergeant as you can get. And he got away with it all those years in San Antonio because Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker endorsed it.
They bought into it.
They bought in, especially Tim Duncan. Tom Brady let Belichick get away with it for all those years because he bought in and made sure the locker room bought in until Giselle finally went to Robert Kraft 2017 after, almost 16
18 years.
Yeah, whatever it was, and said to Kraft, why do you let the head coach still treat my husband like he's Johnny effing Foxborough? Well, that's how Kevin and Kyrie would have felt with Greg Popovich.
Giselle pillow talking, Chris.
Yep.
He pillow talking at night.
Right.
Okay.
No, I think they would have loved Pop. But go ahead.
I don't. All right. I'm not going to condemn the hiring of Steve Nash, though anytime you hire a coach who's never coached at all, not even at any level, there's some X factor. Obviously, Steve Kerr made it work beautifully. The magic move here was Ty Lue, and I just thought it was waiting to happen until these playoffs ended. After the Clippers won the championship, then Ty Lue would just segue right into Brooklyn. But Shannon brought up the point, a suggestion. Maybe Kevin Durant, well, Ty Lue's LeBron's guy. So I don't want him here. I don't want to, it'd be like I'd be following in LeBron's footsteps to try to win a championship with Ty when he already did that with LeBron at the expense of Golden State, obviously. So, yet to me, Ty Lue knows how to coach superstars. He coached the Drama King and lived to tell about it and won a championship with LeBron. That just made so much sense to me. But obviously, Kevin Durant and Kyrie picked Steve Nash. I don't care what you say. Maybe Kevin suggested it first because he had worked with and clicked with Steve in Golden State. And maybe Kyrie has had some basketball discussions about playing point guard with Steve Nash because Steve Nash is a flat-out genius playing point guard. He did things that we've never seen a point guard sort of create in that D'Antoni system. And he won back-to-back MVPs. Shaq should have won the second year, but still, he did it. So I'm fine with it. It's fine. If that's what Kevin and Kyrie want, be my guest. But Ty Lue would have been a better fit there to me.
I actually, and you're right, we haven't seen Steve Nash coach. But look, Larry Bird had never coached, did a great job.
He did.
Mark Jackson, who Kerr replaced, but let's face it, he did a good job.
He did a really good job.
So Kerr, obviously. So there's a precedent for it. Even Jason Kidd, you know, he's had a few looks, but he was pretty good, especially in his first stint. So I think there's precedent there. And for some reason, I like this better than the Ty Lue. If that would have been the hire. There are some that'll tell you Ty and Kyrie butted heads a little bit in Cleveland. Not that they were at odds, but there was some head butting there. Maybe it was because of LeBron and his relationship with Ty Lue. But so I think that may have been a factor too. But I really like this hire. And Nash has a personality too. Even though he was a superstar and he'll get that respect, he's not, you know, he doesn't have to be the big man in the room, and he doesn't have a huge ego. And I think that's going to really be a good mix there on that bench.
I mean, is Mark Jackson, did somebody got a tape on Mark Jackson? Can he get an interview? Look, they don't want to talk to him or anything?
I thought he would have been a good hire for this. I think he's been blackballed for whatever reason. I think he's been blackballed. There's no question. Come on.
I mean, the Knicks, he can't, the dude from New York. That's Taylor, that's on a silver platter right there, Skip. And he can't even get an interview.
I think it didn't end well in Golden State.
Okay, Skip, okay. It didn't.
And you know it's a copycat league. And when those owners talk in Golden State, as much success as they had, owners around the league listen, unfortunately.
And Chris, I got to bring this up because you can appreciate it as much as anyone can. Mark Jackson is, can I put it, very religious, like wears it on his sleeve, and some owners don't love that. Maybe it's a little threatening. Is that possible?
I think that's a factor. I definitely do. He was going back to L.A., back and forth, doing like